Last summer, by chance at the scrapyard east of the bridge near my home, I spotted this big thing. It weighs 290 gin in total, 3.5 yuan per gin. I brought it back. It's a Suzuki made in 2001, with an R750cc displacement, and it's a bike with a story. Its fate was unfortunate, but its rear tire is wider than my palm. So it clearly wasn't a tame machine in its lifetime. Its fuel tank is also badly damaged and deformed. I'm not sure there's a good way to fix this tank back into shape. Anyway, put on your gloves. Today, we're going to fully repair this side according to the poster. Do a thorough restoration. Even the radiator support got wrecked. The exterior of this engine looks a bit huge, but when lifted it's not as heavy as I imagined. I suspect there's some lightweight design inside. But look at this. There's even an indigenous resident here. Maybe it added weight to the engine and affected its power output, which led to this bike failing to take off. The four throttle bodies are quite clean. The wiring across the bike is tidy. Bracket except the front end wiring is scrapped, but the frame has two big dents rammed in. And the triple tree has cracks. Seems the story of this bike isn't a small one. These brake pads are still quite thick. That saves me some money. Since we found cracks in the side triple clamp, it's necessary to check the suspension. See if it's bent along with it and deformed. This guy is fine, don't worry. Now this Suzuki superbike bought by weight at 3.5 yuan a gin has been torn into a pile of parts with tons of problems. If we want to restore it to the way it looked leaving the factory in 2001, we have to start with the frame. This frame is silver, so it'll take some effort. Let's begin with the frame. I threw the swing arm into the sandblaster first for a sandblasting strip treatment. Here's the result after the job. Clean and white, showing the true color of the aluminum. But this spot is exposed too. Likely a place the chain nicked it. So I used an angle grinder to smooth them flat. Looks much better now. Another beautiful day. Today's work for us starts with this frame. But the frame won't fit into this sandblaster. Looks like we'll have to build a bigger one. Put on your goggles. Back to work we go. Take my advice. Buy a laser welder early, it really makes life easy. Another day of vinegar dumplings. To fix this bike, I built a 1.3 meter large sandblasting cabinet, and so you can see clearly in the video, I added two glass windows on it. Convenient for filming and recording. Now, the frame can purr away inside. It can lie sideways on its back, upright or tilted. Of course, next to this blasting cabinet, I look a bit small. I removed its paint. The frame is squeaky clean. Now, we can fix the big dents on both sides of the frame. This side is pushed in this deep. And a piece at the front was knocked off too. I'm using the fire therapy method. Slowly heat the frame with a torch. Then use a tool from inside the frame to push it outward bit by bit. Well darn, a big hole popped out here. Better put your goggles back on. I'm going to weld this spot. You have to testify for me. That hole really wasn't smashed out by me. I just tapped twice and it split open. That's the process. I'd be a liar otherwise. Back me up on this. I welded back the straight mounting ear at the head, then ground smooth the welded patch on the frame and cleaned it up. Now the frame counts as properly repaired. Since the wheels are white front and rear, we need to handle the rims too. I brushed on paint stripper first, then sent them for blasting and stripping. Now the rims are very clean. But look inside the rim. There are tons of tiny pits. That's the legacy of tire sealant. The front rim is fine. Now we can only fill all these tiny pits. That's the only way. Then we need to hurry. Get the refurbished rims and the frame to the paint booth. Spray an epoxy primer first, then spray the top coat. Then bake it at high temperature for a round. The engine was filthy as heck. But judging from its exterior, it hadn't been opened before. That's exactly why I dared to buy it at the scrapyard. I labeled every connector, so we won't be lost during reassembly. I removed the useless brackets from the engine when I opened its valve cover. How? To my surprise, the inside of this engine is super clean. Could it be what old car guys call a first-owner pure water machine? After pulling the oil pan, even the oil looks clean. The internal parts look like new. Seems we only need to clean the sludge on the engine exterior. I first used dry ice blasting to strip the grime. The surface sludge comes off quickly, but oxidation stains under the paint don't clean off well, so the two of us have to send it into the sandblaster again for a stripping treatment. Here's the result after stripping. You can see, it's back to the raw aluminum color. Next, the usual routine. Spray a high-temperature top coat. Then give it some heat. Let it roast here. And finally we get a clean engine again. This is the frame. You can't even tell where you knocked a hole last time, right? The green texture on the swing arm is fantastic too. Now we can assemble according to the diagram. What a pain! I thought next we could assemble smoothly, but another problem popped up. This is the lower triple clamp. Maybe because of that last serious and violent head-on encounter. It's twisted left and right by almost the thickness of 2 coins. We still have to find a way to straighten it properly. I use the fire-bound method. Heat it first, then slowly tighten the bolts. Apply pressure until it's completely flat. Then let it cool naturally. It cost about 1 yuan and 7 ma worth of gas. Now this triple clamp is straightened. Flat as new. Your awesome thumbs up. Here's the upper triple clamp, likely from that same head-on impact. It also developed a crack. I gouged a V-groove along the crack. Then welded it back with a C-TIG. Ground it smooth, stripped it in the blaster. Sprayed a matte top coat. That settles the triple clamp perfectly. We can continue assembling. Act as the driver then. Come take a look. This is a Suzuki OEM exhaust. The key point is I only paid 350 yuan for it, but look at this thin little metal tube. And this broken plastic, 2 seats from different bikes. One still with a C label. They cost me 700 yuan together. The bike's parts price ratio is beyond your imagination. And the mod handbook you gave me is getting thinner and thinner. Next, grab the pliers. We're going to sort out its complicated wiring. I finished tidying the harness, then quickly dry ice cleaned the throttle bodies. A thorough cleaning. Now look again. Much cleaner, right? And I put the injectors into the ultrasonic cleaner. Then did an energized spray test to prevent issues later. Then reinstalled the air filter box. About 80% of the bike is done. Next, we deal with this beggar of a fuel tank. Didn't you tell me last time? Fill the tank with water first, then pop a small firecracker to push it out. I think we can try that method. The method isn't great. We still have to think of something else. Better to be honest about it. I'll cut open the bottom shell of the tank. You can see leftover burrs inside. Pour out the remaining water. The top dent is especially severe. Luckily they're large dents. No dead creases. I used a nylon dolly to do a rough lift first, then a smaller half-pound dolly for fine leveling. When I bought the bike, I thought this tank couldn't be fixed at all. I was going to source a used one and swap it directly, but now the result looks okay. This poor tank has suffered a lot. It was repainted 4 or 5 times, from blue to white and finally black. I used stripper and sandpaper to take it to bare metal. You can see there are still tiny dings, but that's fine. Getting it to this state is good enough. I used a handheld laser welder to weld the tank bottom shell to the upper part. Then the usual routine. Spray epoxy primer for rust prevention. Then a thin layer of body filler to level it. Spray again with a sealer to unify tone. Finally the pearl white top coat. After the pearl white fully dries, mask the areas with fine line tape. Because the upper and lower blues are different, it needs to process to finish. At the end, follow the original factory process for the tank, step by step. Then spray the clear coat. Bake it at high temperature until fully cured. Install the tank back. Now it matches the 2001 poster look. We're one last step away. I bought the fairings I needed and the head cowl. The seller told me they were OEM takeoffs. Just needed repainting at home. But in reality, this junk fairing can't even be repaired properly. Everywhere is damaged. And these two junk pieces still cost me more than 400 yuan. We'd better bring the testing calipers and be more careful in the morning. Compared to this 25-year-old bike with a story, buying a whole new set of fairings really hurts the wallet. Compared to my paint, is a good match. Now we have all the dragon balls of the machine. Let's assemble and summon the dragon. Thus this lemon superbike bought in the fall of 2024 at the scrapyard east of the bridge near my home for 1,022 yuan has been restored to new. Its parts to vehicle value ratio is beyond our understanding. Fortunately, your mod handbook gave me enough support and time to restore it to the 2001 poster look. Shall we add a little fuel and try to start it? How is it? Told you we wouldn't go hungry without this thing. Let's go. I think there's no problem now. Let's test ride. Hey, since it's a bike with a story, shouldn't we light some firecrackers to celebrate first, before we head to the wash? Thus, this Suzuki superbike bought at the scrapyard for 1,022 yuan is now fully restored. Its brakes are still sharp. Shifting is silky. Suzuki's handling really isn't just talk. Thanks to my mod handbook for the support. Wish you good health and prosperity.